Hi everyone. Good evening, good morning to you all. It appears here that Sarah's mic is on, but it's somehow breaking and is muting and unmuting at the same time. So I don't know what's going on. Otherwise, I hope everyone is okay. It seems the space is hacked because even in the comment section, it doesn't function. So I don't know what you're going to do. Maybe you can do something about it. Otherwise, I'm very happy to be with you this evening. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we had issues from the start when I logged in. They hacked my account immediately, and I hope it doesn't happen to the host.
Is it okay if she can restart it because it unmutes and then mutes and then her mic shows it is on? Maybe she's not even hearing us.
Sarah, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. However, I was trying to get a microphone instead connected. Otherwise, I might have to run it because I see it from my laptop. I might have to do it from my phone.
Yeah, I think maybe the phone is better. I don't know whether you hear us with any echoes or not.
I do hear you.
Okay.
It's just the echo from my end. What shall I restart? Mr. Coco, should I gadget?
I think, Sarah, if you can use another gadget for if you're using a phone. What are you using right now? Are you using a laptop or a phone?
I've used it before many times and it was okay.
But you're breaking. Do you mind if you use a laptop?
I know.
And let's see what happens.
I guess you restart using the.
Hello. How about now? How is the echo? Hello? Can you hear me?
That's better, Sarah.
Perfect. Oh, God. Right. So shall we get started now? Good.
We can get started. Maybe the few people who are here can come in and talk with us as we wait for the guests we invited. So far, what I'm seeing, all of them, when you try to reach them, they're not available. Of course, one sent in an apology. He says he will jump in later. That is Dr. Buku. So let's see. Dr. Mirembe promised he will be in, and he said he was mobilizing heavily. So let's give them time and see. I'm trying to reach out of them, yeah.
That being said, on one hand, of course, if we can give them time. On the other hand, I think it's a huge disrespect from a professional not to show up on time, and I think we should respect the people who came in time and they respected the time that we advertised. If I have an appointment, for example, and I'm going to hospital and I'm required to be there at a certain time, whether it's going to see my doctor or going to the main hospital. If I'm late by 15, they give me 10 minutes. If I'm late by 15 minutes, they do not see me. If it happens more than twice, you have to pay a fine. If it happens frequently, they can even get you off the list. So that's how the medical system, what they expect people to respect their time as we respect theirs as well, because they're doing an amazing job. We're dealing with professionals here, and maybe this is a very, very good example to show us what level we have sunk to, that doctors are not making, or medical professionals are not keeping their word. I'm sorry, I sound a bit harsh, but that is the bitter truth. So that being said, we have people here who respect this and who have, I'm pretty sure, who have a lot to share. We could start whenever they join us, well and good. But the space is going to carry on. If they are taking a flight, they would have missed the flight. The space is going to take place, and people will join us and when they find fit. I don't know what you think, but that's my suggestion at the moment. What are your thoughts, Mr. Co-host?
Well, I guess we have people listening to us. Yeah. And like you have put it, you have reminded me the 5 R's. The five, we have what? 5R, 5 and R. Ra. Right drug, right time, right patient, right dose, right route.
Precisely.
Yes, Dr. Obuku sent in an apology, and it's accepted. It's acceptable, but still drives me to the reason why we are hosting this space, where a doctor has fears that he has not gone through the primaries, so the grounds are shaky for him. And I'm talking about Dr. Buku.
Well, they'll listen to the recording.
I'm talking about Dr. Buku, who says he still has fears because he has not gone through the primaries. And then I'm like, really? Mm-hmm. Where is his influence? Where is his impact?
Yeah, we will discuss all that. So we're going to start. Obviously, the space is being recorded. Whoever decides to listen in later, they will catch up. And that being said, thank you very much, everyone who has joined. And this is a very I like this discussion, this topic, the healthcare and politics, which is something that many of us had ignored yet again, yet it is very, very important and plays a very, very big role in our lives. So to everyone in the space, welcome everyone. And I believe this is a timely timely and powerful conversation that we tend to ignore while we complain about the medical health or the health system in Uganda. So the title today is From Scraps to the Ballot, Ugandan Doctors Shaping Political Futures. So our discussion is going to run around doctors who are getting into politics, and we all know that across the country, healthcare professionals have long been at the front line, not just in hospitals and clinics, but in the fight for dignity, for systems that work, and for policies that protect lives. Yet, despite this critical role in society, many feel their voices are sidelined when it comes to shaping national priorities. And some of them are scared to speak because for whatever reasons. So tonight we ask or we speak or we discuss. We discuss with doctors or medical professionals, and we talk about what real change requires in this particular moment, in this historical time that we're going through the political in the political arena, and healthcare workers becoming the new wave of leaders that we have ignored or had ignored. And we also can look at how they're going to shape things instead of treating symptoms in the hospitals and everything, but actually looking at the cause of why there's no medicine, why there's no tools, and the rest of that. So we are supposed to be joined by a few doctors, which was a really cool lineup. And we had Dr. Nalukwako, who is not on the flyer, but she had promised to join us today. So these are doctors or medical professionals who are stepping into politics, campaigning for seats in parliament, and in leadership in different areas and levels. And together we will explore the challenges they currently face, the change they hope to bring, and what it truly means to transition from healing individual patients to healing a nation. So I'll be your host tonight. My name is Sarah, co-hosted by James William Mungadi. And with that being said, I would like to invite Mr. Co-host to take on the mic and talk to us. Thank you.
Yes, maybe a small bit of introduction of myself. I'm James William Mugeni. Mungadi is a cultural naming, I think, associated with my culture at home. 2 days ago, I was struggling with the US when they were asking for my birth certificate. I'm like, I was born in 1964, January 24th, and they want a birth certificate. I'm like, do you know, that name Mugeni is more of my birth certificate. Some of us names are seasonal, are events. That's how we are named in Africa. So you roughly look at an event, or when is somebody born during maybe the Second World War or during the NRM, they would name so. A cage is somebody who's born during famine. Ofono is somebody born during harvest. So now they want, have issues with to get your social security money. They want to certify your birth. So I have a struggle to get a birth certificate from Uganda. That's how fun it is. But that said, back to the topic, I'm a medical clinic officer. I don't know how many years of service, but the major I can mention is I worked in Bara University Hospital as a clinical instructor, and I was one of the founder members of the pediatric unit. They call it Total Ward. I was dismissed from there because of the kind of language that I am, that even most medical people fear to associate with me, to identify with me. Yes, I also had a stint in Mulago Hospital where I was dismissed, I think, in 1993. And usually I mention Mulago Hospital because that's where I served Moses Ali. It takes me to something where medicine was still respectable. But as a clinical officer, I was working with prisons, and then I go and get Moses Ali sick, and I say we need to take Moses to hospital, and prisons accept at that time. That brings me to something that tells you that medics were respected at a certain time, and we lost it. Now, you might not get surprised to find that it is maybe me and Sarah hosting this space. I tend to call myself an original. You know what we call an original? Stainless. Keeping to the principles, keeping to the ethics. We are in a situation, in a space where I find a doctor has picked a NUP card. Keep asking myself, if a doctor has picked a NUP card, what does that mean? Obuko has picked a UPC card, and he's even worried about the primaries. Then I ask myself, what does that mean? The allegations, which I don't have proof, but most of these listeners of ours will tell you, people have gone to Mulago Hospital and they are told, I have one NUP. It's only me who keeps on saying, no, you are lying. Yesterday you had, interesting, a doctor hosted a space yesterday and they had 11,000 people. And you have this lady who comes up and accuses. She spoke. I had to come in with a video. I'm saying, that is a lie. She said, in her language, Uganda, and she's giving a situation where she ran around to save her twins or her life because of eclampsia or preeclampsia. This is hypertension associated with pregnancy, high blood pressure associated with pregnancy. She alleged that she went to Mulago and nobody, and I'm like, no, this is a lie. However, I have been in a similar situation myself, and my story then in New Vision. I drove from Tororo with the mother of my kid in labor, and I went to Mulago. That Mulago I'm talking about, I know Mulago very well because it's like we own it. If I say we own it because I'm connected to Mulago so much, that my brother runs a department in Mulago. But I drove from Tororo to take my wife to deliver in Mulago, and I was told there was they didn't have an anesthetist. And then they wanted me to pay 600,000 so that they can call somebody who's an anesthetist. And the story is true. The hospital anesthetist didn't have anesthesia. The person they wanted to call was private, having his own. So that would come and my wife is operated upon. I got annoyed, thinking I was connected. You need to have a woman in labor, then you know how quick you'll make decisions. I got annoyed and I drove out. I drove to a clinic, private. Caesar was done. And I paid 2.8 million. I wrote that story in New Vision. I'm like, if child delivery is subject to everyone, you can start family planning directly. If I didn't have a car, if I wasn't connected, if I didn't have the means, I would have lost that child. The boy is now, I think, in S1. Usually the mothers are the ones who know the age of children. But I'm bringing out these things such that you see where we have gone wrong as medics. Because it's like we are in these situations and we can't speak and we can't take leadership. Sir, allow me quote from one book written by a Ugandan doctor. She's a trauma surgeon. She's called Olive Kobusinje. Page 1, where she asks a question, how did we get here? And she says, medicine is a social science, and politics is nothing else but medicine on a large scale. And she's quoting Rudolf Karl, a 19th century German physician. Then I have another book. This one I bought it in the US here. I'll post a picture here after for those who can look for it. Inspired Physician Leadership, Creating Influence and Impact. That's the cover page. And I'm also reading page 1 of that book. Just a quote. While the future of healthcare remains problematic, experts agree that physician leaders must be at the table, engaged as principal players among those who will define and shape tomorrow's healthcare strategies. That's page 1 of the book. And the writer is John S. Stoner, serves as an associate professor of management at Ohio University. He has a Bachelor of Science, an MBA, and a PhD from Florida University. Sarah, those statements mean a lot. And the practical one, I can tell you. I work in the US. I work in a district hospital. It's one of the smallest hospitals, I can say. But doing heart surgery, kidney transplant is like ABC. It's like treating malaria in Uganda. Very easy. In fact, treating malaria is more complicated in Uganda. This hospital flies 8 helicopters as ambulances for emergencies. This hospital, when you see a helicopter flying, then you know it's a baby or a mother. It's an obstetric emergency. Yesterday I was on a wall here with doctors. They call them international doctors, nutritionists, experts, and what have you. So they were discussing nutrition, breastfeeding. It is breastfeeding week. So they were discussing yesterday, and they gave me a microphone. And when I told them about the USA, they started castigating me. They didn't want to hear what I was speaking. Then I'm like, what you people? Me who is speaking came from Uganda. I left Uganda 10 years ago. I left Uganda at 51 years. Now 61. And I tell them, children belong to the state. That's how they are defined here. That a mother gets pregnant, and the state starts feeding a mother from the day they discover she's pregnant, up to 8 years. Now they were busy condemning breast pumps. Then I'm like, but for us here, we give breast pumps in the hospital. Breast pumps are supposed to support a mother who wants to keep her child on breast milk, and she has to work because in the US you're defined by work. Now they're condemning breast pumps in Uganda. I'm like, yes, you have reached an age where you don't belong. Because breast pumps are given in the US because every home in the US has a fridge. Every home in the US has a fridge which you don't buy, you find it there. So when they give you a breast, it's called a breast kit. It's a kit where you pump milk and keep in different bottles, and that's safe. And a warmer. It's given by the hospital. So when the doctors heard that, they castigated me, they were cursing me, and we're talking about, for us, we have to teach mothers to express breast. When I last milked a goat, I remember we had goats that give milk. So they're expecting Ugandan mothers start milking their breasts like goats, like they milk cows. And now these things, I'm telling you that these are things that come with advancement of medicine. Why do you have a PhD in nutrition in Uganda? Ask them, why do you have a PhD? Dr. Buko has a PhD and he's looking for a vote from Lira. But the people of Lira know who Dr. Buko is. Dr. Buko is an asset that you want all medics, because he's the only doctor who championed industrial action and stopped the country. Now he has a PhD in public health and he's now subjected to looking for a vote in Lira. And he subscribes to the Uganda Medical Council. So I'm mentioning these things. I wanted to castigate doctors. I wanted them to listen. We, the allied health professionals, the medical clinic officer where I belong, we are 15,000 strong with an annual subscription of about 200,000. So we pay 3 billion shillings and we can't front candidates. We want them to be attached to NUP. Not me. I one time promised people that if I stayed and ran hospital, I'll start packaging some of you to hell. With 3,000 billion shillings, we can't front 100 candidates. Policy is discussed at the table. You want Munyagwam Gatgwabata to go and discuss the breast pump I'm talking about? I am not undermining. For me, I keep telling people that I look at every person as a patient. The first thing I look at you when I know within my mind is this is your potential patient. And that line of mine is cut straight. I expect to be speaking with people who can have an STD. I expect to be speaking with people who can have an obstructed labor. Look at my article in Mhoz. I'm the only one who has written about his mental case. Based on the psychiatric experience I got from Lago. He has all those that medics know and they shit and they can't even help Uganda. Does any of you wonder why I have been and I was classified as unemployable? If I went to the hospital in the morning and there are no drugs, that day me and the superintendent were at loggerhead. In fact, Uganda would qualify to run what we call flex time. Call me when there's medicine. Pay me my full salary. You don't call me to come and prescribe, go and buy. And one of the worst problems that we have was to align the medical system to respect all of us, whether you're talking as an allied health professional, you're working under a doctor. You're talking about as a physiotherapist, you're working under a doctor. You're talking as a nurse, you're working under a doctor. Nurses in here are very independent. They run hospitals. The hospital where I work was founded by nurses and they employ doctors. Mercy one. Catholic nuns, nurses. And so we have this division in Uganda. If I told you that they are not appearing here because an allied health professional is the one speaking, there's this Vampane Vandavi. Me, I told them you're all crap. All those who spoke to me, I'm not proud. All those who spoke to me now are now listening to me. I have boarded the plane more than them. The separation. The allied health professionals have just won a case last week, but the case of equal opportunities. That can now allow them to be hired as commissioners, to be hired as district health officers, to be hired. Will it happen? I have told them point blank that some of these things are legislative. And I'm speaking to people here. I know I tell people I'm like I have a certain country. Sir, after yesterday's space of 11,000 people listening to gossip, of 11,000 people listening, of 11,000 people listening to people who are rivaling each other over a woman. And it was hosted by a doctor. Where are they today here? And Sarah, like you said, this space, I put in a lot. I put in effort. I call so many. Respectfully, I agree with Dr. Book. He called me, Tony James, you know what? I might not sustain because for now, my grounds are not yet certain. And I'm like, the person who pays 2.5 million shillings as annual fee to the Uganda Medical Dental and Practitioners Council is not certain whether he will win the UPC primaries. Can you ask Ugandans who needs Obuku? Is it people of Lira, really?
May I come in there?
Please do.
Before we open the floor for our listeners. So you make great points there. And the more you think about it, the more you realize that, either they are so threatened or scared, or they do not know the power that they hold. And the power that a doctor holds, or the power that such a professional holds, is way bigger than than even a political party. They do have a voice, and I would like to see, or I would have loved to see, these doctors, apart from Dr. Mirembe, who every now and then, after a little nudge, he has come out and he has spoken things and everything. I would have loved to see, with the dire state of our hospitals, I would have loved to see a doctor or a group of doctors constantly advocating for these things. And you know what? If these doctors are passionate about change and are passionate about changing policies or changing different things, they wouldn't even need a political party. They wouldn't even worry about, oh, I might not get nominated, I might not get. Their passion, their drive would have spoken much, much louder than the positions or the party or the constraints of a party. If, for example, let's give an example of Dr. Kizza Besigye. Where did he start from? Of course, he came in initially as an independent. He was more driven by activism than the position until when he got into party politics and everything else. It's a shame that Dr. Stella Nyazi is not on here. Yes, she has been. We all know where her passion has been. Of course, she packages herself a certain way, but we cannot deny the fact that she has been vocal about certain things. And when she went that she wanted to stand for parliament, I think she was independent. She went independent and she lost and everything, but she did not wait to be nominated by somebody and the rest of it. If a doctor, and I've got a few other examples of doctors, there's a Dr. Denis Mukwege from the Democratic Republic of Congo. He's a world-renowned gynecologist and a Nobel Peace Prize win or nominee, and he has been in politics for quite some time. He's even asked to run for president and everything. He has never joined any political party, but he is very adamant about changing of policies or changing of how these things are run. And these people do know and understand that once you get into party politics, of course they're going to be you're going to have to be chosen against anybody else or somebody else, or in some cases you're going to find that it is who knows you on ground, it is who, but we don't get to hear their passion. We don't get to hear, say for example, if somebody brought what's the doctor's name, the gentleman who said that he cannot come, the one from up north, I'd never heard of his name. So if I was maybe from that area and there was somebody else who is not even a medical doctor, who is maybe a businessman or something else, who was more active in my area, I would lean more towards that person than I would the doctor. And yet maybe the doctor has amazing ideas. Maybe he has he knows what areas need to be changed. But the fact that he has decided to rely on somebody else to nominate him, it's somewhat disappointing. There is Dr. Devi Sudhir here in the UK. She was she's a public health expert who became influential during the COVID-19 pandemic. She did not go for elective politics, but she has influenced policies at a national level, which sometimes they don't even have to go in office. They don't have to go to parliament. They can raise their voices. They can operate from wherever, given the titles that they have and the influence that they have to actually change or contribute to policy. And when you look at all these other doctors, you realize that either they're very scared or they don't understand the power that they have, or they don't. Well, doctors who enter politics as independents always do often try to maintain, who don't join party politics. They try to maintain integrity and avoid all these party constraints, and they always want to focus on reform rather than politics per usual. So the question is, are doctors joining politics to join politics for politics' sake, or are they joining to actually influence policy? And I would have loved to hear them talk about those policies, or the policies that maybe they have tried to influence from outside and has failed, and now they've decided to go in on the table or in parliament to actually influence those policies. We can open the floor to our listeners, see what they think. What are your thoughts about doctors joining party politics and politics on a larger scale? Please do ask for the mic. Can we have Mugisha as our first contributor? And yeah, thank you. Comrade Mugisha, the mic is yours.
Okay, doctors, how are you? Thank you for accepting some of us who are not doctors, and don't think we can take over. We can take that field, but maybe our daughters, our sons, or maybe our sisters and brothers are there, or they will be there. So it is a very great initiative. There is a debate I used to love whenever I was in the Pan-Africanist Parliament, and especially when it came to interactive debates. We used to there was a setting whereby they used to say, "Are youths in Africa on the table eating, under the table, on the table serving, or are they on the menu being served?" I will use it in the way of the doctors. Are the doctors in Uganda on the table serving? Are they being served, or are they under the table? Or maybe they are on the menu. To me, I think doctors, you are on the menu. I'm sorry to say, you are on the menu whereby they are serving. You're the meal that is being eaten. For instance, I saw the president of the Uganda Medical Association before, not Dr. Mirembe, kneeling before Mr. Museveni. Please come back. And that hit me very hard. Today I saw an illiterate of a man called Gashumba I don't know people who give him respect. But an illiterate of a man trying to lecture literates. In a way, a person who still thinks about that keeping food in fridge is an achievement a man can talk about on a radio. But making a statement saying, Uganda now, professions that used to carry weight, they have been linked to a peanut, whereby, your doctor, we have seen doctors, what are you going to say? Over 4,000 doctors come out every year. What are you telling us? But are they real doctors, or they are quack doctors? The discipline of medicine, to me, I believe it was infiltrated a long time ago. There are no doctors who are practicing medicine from heart. Dr. Mungadi, you can prove me wrong or right. We are in an era in Uganda whereby we have a lot of quack doctors who are chasing blood, who don't practice medicine because of the discipline and the oath they took when they were graduating as doctors in all disciplines. That's why a torture victim can look for a place where to take an examination and get a certificate of torture, and he will not get it because the doctors are in captivity and they don't want to believe it. Anything concerning human rights and there is a report needed, a psychiatrist, you will not get a person whom you will be confident with to sit down and discuss mental issues with him or her. We have seen the military intervening in the medical field. We have seen graduates of medicine or doctors being taken to Chankwanzi as if Chankwanzi now it is where they should blush you if you're a doctor, and then you will come out and they will say, yeah, now you have graduated since you've passed through Chankwanzi, and doctors are saying nothing about it. And some children are sons and daughters of these doctors who are operating in government hospitals and private hospitals. And he's okay to send his son, who is also graduating as a medical doctor, to go to Chankwanzi. Where is the respect? And you will find a senior to drop out, a cadet, ordering a doctor in Chankwanzi, Kachini, Funga Mulango, and eating posho. So the essence of being a doctor, it has been lost. And to me, I believe there is need for a full system overhaul. These things of thinking that we need to operate from within and then the organs will work, the issue is a no. Because first of all, where are the apparatuses that these doctors are going to use to professionalize? Dr. Mungadi spoke about 8 helicopters on a hospital which was founded by nurses. Those are the apparatuses whereby there's not even gloves in their places of service, and they keep quiet about it. The places of services of medical practitioners, are they well facilitated with enough facilities and enough apparatuses for them to function, for them to perfect their work? So to me, I believe it might be, some people may want to lean into a question of medicine. But to me, I believe the major question is a political question. And in the political question, there is the spices of medical practitioners. And to me, I will give some, if you would allow me, I will give a fist up for Dr. Mungadi. It is high time for doctors to come out, face the monster that is eating them heads on, because first of all, they are not being paid well. Second, there is no respect of their discipline of operation. Third of it, even the places where they operate from, they are not well facilitated with the apparatuses to do their work. They are being coerced, whereby you will find people saying, if you want good, yes, it is not bad, but they will tell you, the best hospital in Uganda, you have to go to Bombo. Can you imagine? That is how far every discipline has been captured. But right today we are speaking about doctors. Trust me, believe me, yes or no. Every sector is being captured. The medical aspect is being captured more than we think. They are sick and crying, but in fear for losing their small job. I fear her. When Dr. Mungadi, when that fear should stop. And we should embrace that all Ugandans, including medical practitioners, they need an overhaul of the whole system, because it is rotten from the aspect of from the aspect of where they operate from, even from where they graduate from. Because recently I was hearing some people saying there are some universities that just dash out, degrees to medical degrees to people, and they are not recognized anywhere. So from the start of where people are graduating from, the universities, to the place after they've graduated, that go to Chankwan so that they can smoothen you, so that you can enter. To a full doctor who is, a president of the medical fraternity, needing a person who knows how a heart beats, a person who knows what you know not on your body. So doctors should work upon themselves first. They should have this belief in themselves. before they come to the question of to interfering to a political question. Because in coming into a political question, they should come to me, I believe, vying for a system overhaul. You have had doctors, for example, Dr. Yume. He was the chairperson of the health committee in parliament. What has Dr. Yume done? This woman who is the minister of health, who looks like this Kagaru was saying, but that Ruth Acheng. We have got doctors who have good doctors. But once they are consumed by the authority, it's like they tender in their resignation from the oath they took when they were, coming into effect to be doctors. As I conclude, Uganda needs a system overhauled. The whole system overhauled. I won't speak about politics here and there, but lastly, we have to understand. For example, recently, look at the education system. Does it favor what we want? Before we talk. So we shouldn't start telling people, blink plates so that we can serve food. Before even we know, but we are telling people, we should start thinking outside the box. Today I saw a paper, they were saying the LDC is not the monopoly of LDC to be the one to handle the backers. Soon it will be done with, and their quack universities now they can also start dishing out back courses and certifying lawyers. Where we are going, it's accident ahead. We need to wake up as Ugandans. We have to act on our future. Nobody's going to. The protest vote is here. Thank you. Back to you, Sarabina Isat Mongadi.
Thank you so much for those amazing words. Munga, did you want to add anything? I understand we are streaming on TikTok as well, so we might have to mix things up as we go. Thank you so much, Madways, for the amazing work that you're doing.
I just wanted to chip in where you said where you mentioned Dr. Besigye. And you people listen very carefully.
Dr. Wangaja, can I chip in? I have a meeting at 8 exactly. I have only 2 minutes to say something because they're going to look for me.
Please, we need you. Please say it. Thank you.
Okay, I thank you because just get in the next few. Anyway, I'm going to use Uganda since there is also TikTok. Never now sing manyo Uganda. Ngenda mu luzungu kati wano kankwese ku Uganda. Banabasawo, as Mugika said, I don't support Siwagira, Ngazi, or Rumbeira on differences in it. It is good to be in any electoral position, go on to Wayagal. Now, since how our system is in Uganda, I don't think that doctors are supposed to go for any electoral position. All about Ebifubitabula, Abataina professions, Abataina Bintubaina Funulange Yamakuru. Then what about you, a doctor? When you look into it, agenda kwera biranti, omulimu kwa mukuru musawo. Nti ayinane eddwaliro lyalina okufaako okulaba abalwadde this and that n'afa ku position ne ssente ezibeera ziyitina na mu parliament. I'm sorry to go there. But nsuubira what they are supposed to fight for is their systems nga bwe zirina okurunninga mu healthcare okulaba nga bazitereeza. Nga Mugita bw'agambye, for them not to keep quiet is to speak. Balina ba Minister of Health, balina ba chief, ministers and whatever. Bakozesa abantu abo. Babateeke kuninga okulabanga system ya healthcare eterezebwa okulabanga doctor oba nurse oba practitioners whatever bonna abagwa mu health services bafune ekyo kye balina ofuna bafune benefits bafune amayumba bafune amamotoka bafunenga emmere bafunenga allowances as I had wekyali ku mulembe gwa Amini so gwe tutaaliko kubanga we are born in the Museveni regime tuzadde tunatira ndoza nafuna bazzukulu byensuubira bye balina okufubako okulabanga system yaabwe bagitereeza for them to have oba okuservinga abantu diligently nga tebawankawanka. But then when you go into the electoral positions, what else are you going to look at? Is your position. Nkomya wanti ekisanja ekiddako nfunya kyano sente na wano ogenda kusuulirira obuvunaanyizibwa bwo ogenda kuleka ekyaku like that job ogubaddewo ebbanga lyonna ng'ate abamu you study and then when you get those jobs balina oaths zemu swearing I think Dr. Wangaja but tebazituukiriza. You go to Mulago ng'olaba eddwaliro nga Mulago it is a national hospital naye nga ne panado w'obwerere tosobola mufunayo naye nga ne doctor ali head bakugamba okulaba doctor waakino olina kusooka kusasula ssente zino okulaba doctor gy'akukwateko prescribing whatever medicine you're supposed to take you have to pay this amount of fee which is okay so bwe kibanga ddala kisaanibwa naye nze ngamba otya munnansi ng'olaba wabayo n'omukazi atasobola na kusasula wadde 5,000 bamukwateko eza glove simanya biki obenga atogende mu position it is what they should focus on is for them to work on their system and make their system right. Whenever the systems are okay, I don't think anyone would look at any other position. You get what they do. So anyway, Uganda, ngayo, the systems are fake. Tumanyo, over education, the health, whatever, everything is fake. Nebwengo musawo obo kwata kubulamu bw'abantu, omuto, omukadde, atya, because health goes with everything. Abemitwe, abamagulu, abachi. you need to focus. Abasawo musigala musoma day by day, upgrading. Mubanga bannamateeka, the way you're going to approach things, the way you're going to look at things. Kubanga things change medically every day. Then how are you going to tell me you're going to concentrate on that profession that you have when you're into an electoral position? Now, say that we should fight and work on their system that etera okulaba nga bateeka government kunninga oba batya nga balaba egundi yaabwe tesirika. I have doctors in Uganda, my friends, naye badodge ng'ogenda okola bagamba they have not been receiving months from the like salary for months. Omwa akola mulago akola n'ekiruddu naye ng'amaze ebbanga tomusasula ng'osuubira agenda kukola ki, atambula, ayina osasula rent, ayina okulya, ayina family, ayina n'ebintu ebirala, but you expect that doctor to be there in time akole ku bantu gwe boogamba ab'eggwanga ly'ofuga. Doctors, yes, mulumwa, we know, but when you keep quiet ne mulaga you're living a luxury life that you're okay, ogenda kujjojja ku mulwadde omutwala 2,500 omukoleko. It is not right. It is not right. Mwekume mumukole omuteekewo embeera nga we mwali mubitandise. Nesimanyi kyabasirisa because they fired some doctors, because abamu baagano bazza ku mirimu, because abamu baagano bawa ebifo gye bagenda okukola. Bwe munaayongera ne mubateekako enninga, they will act because they need you, oba baagala oba tebaagala. Thank you, Kanzi. Okay. But I'm on. I'll listen in katon.
Thank you so much, Big Grandpa. You make amazing points there. And yes, they have the influence, the Basobolo of choosing to be engineer if they really wanted to bring change, if they really wanted to to change policy. And obviously we understand that they are the medical or the health sector is one of the most underserved. And of course, what do they have on the budget? Is it 8 point something on the annual budget? And it would also be interesting to hear from mental health doctors, because apparently out of that, only 1% goes to mental health, which is crazy. Nobody's talking about these things. Nobody's advocating for these things, regardless of elections or not. And these things should not have to wait for elections. These things have to happen continuously, because our health, wellness happens every day, whether there's elections or not, whether there is a change of governments or not. Our health is number one, or should be on top of our list. And speaking of which, this was about 2 years ago. I stand to be corrected. We stood with a doctor who actually could not get anyone from within their, I don't know how many doctors you have in Uganda, but
Sarah, let me take on that one. Let me take on that one.
Okay.
Because it's me who brought in you and brought in Joe. Joe is also on this wall, and it was based on our network. And I'm like, let's use our network and see if we can fundraise for a doctor. Now, Dr. Bahanga Maiso, I'm not condemning him even. I'm not saying something bad. But after the kidney, did he die? That's the question you want to ask. Where is he? Of course, you would imagine after that effort, we'd be having a kidney foundation. I know doctors very well in that my family, my cousins are doctors of repute. Like I even told you, my brother heads the Department of Surgery in Mulago. Now, Sarah, let me give you another one which still associated with doctors. There was a doctor to be, because this is how we ended up fundraising for Dr. Bahanga Maiso. There was a doctor to be, Galogito Stephen Ren, who was expelled from Mulago Hospital, like now Benjamin from Chambogo. Galogito was dismissed now 29 years ago as a 50-year student of medicine, I think with about 2 months left to complete, for standing out with poor students, leading them to strike. So they dismissed him, like they have dismissed Benjamin. After I came to the US, having seen Galogito in that situation, because I was a witness in emergency department of Mulago Hospital, I saw the bodies of students who were killed. I saw the desperate Galogito, and up to this day, it's the image I have. So I come to USA, Makerere burns, and I'm like, For me, when Makerere burnt, I related it to the dismissed Galogito. No wonder we even called him the short tower. That's how we related. We related Galogito to the short tower after Makerere got burnt. I started an effort to look for Galogito, and I got him. Kudos to the doctors who managed to come together and buy him a plot, I think. But single-handedly, I sponsored Galogito, which I'm not shy to mention because you can't deny it, for 18 months on an online course sponsored by offered by Drake University in the state where I am. Galogito qualifies as a certified public manager, who I am also. Now we are 2 certified public managers by the state of Iowa public administration. So I am bringing this, that if doctors were serious, Galogito would be on the ballot. He's a certified public manager, and public management will manage processes, will manage public service, will manage all these things. That's why for me, I'm like, sometimes when you see me every day appearing before you, because I know what being a certified public manager is. Now, If doctors want to enjoy what they call moral neutrality, they call it moral neutrality. That's the language, moral neutrality. That's why I'm condemning somebody who has picked a NUP ticket. That's why I'm condemning somebody who has picked a UPC ticket. That's why it is moral neutrality. And we have spoken to it that as the Uganda Medical Council, you're able to front a doctor. The allied health professional, you're able to front an allied health a physiotherapist, a medical clinic officer, an orthopedic officer to stand minus party affiliations. Look at how they have manipulated the Baryomunsi. He looks like a cabbage. He's a doctor. Look at how NRM is manipulating. There's this fella from one of these recent who first ran between to get Masanyang as a noob. He's called who? Kagabo, but he's some funny Kagabo. He's a surgeon. Look at how they've manipulated him. And you're like, where are these guys? I have just been trying to reach out to Isaac Semakade because each time I keep pressing him like, Isaac, try to co-host, try to bring in medics. There's medical legal medicine, you know it. And these doctors are just seated on their butts. They were embarrassed by fronting Dr. Besige. Why did I want to come in here immediately? Now you will see Dr. Mirembe, Dr. Nalukwago, Dr. Shamim, because they have aligned themselves with the NUP. NUP has young people locked post-election. Are we trying to say we are going to sit comfortable seeing Dr. Mirembe? Since he's now aligning with the small group, with the party they don't want to see. Are you going to be comfortable to see Dr. Nalukwago in Luzira? Are you going to be comfortable to see Dr. Shamim in Luzira? Because he's aligned to the wrong party? Sorry, you tickle when you mention Dr. Bahanga. It's like, yes. At the end of the day, the community came in, we fundraised, Dr. Bahanga got a kidney. Thank whoever contributed, because we have never had a space even to mention and to thank them. Even the doctors themselves never identified with us. Today I saw a doctor blasting Kagwanja that this medicine is not border talk. Yes, it is not. That's why even here, people, very few people might speak here. But then you want to ask them, did you just use patients? Because Dr. Obuku successfully held an industrial action that was addressing salaries of doctors. At the same time, he said, it's not only they addressing themselves, but the general good of the people. Today the patients are here on this wall, alone. Doctors don't want to identify with them. It is embarrassing. These are guys who have done 5 years plus 2, that is 7. Then when they go for masters, that's 9. And then when we go for PhD, it's almost endless. Then you get Hobuku to now running in leader. The medical council. Where are the fundraising dinners? For us here, that's what we do. Fundraising dinners, spaghetti with Eddie Andrews, and we go there. All the money, all the plates of food which we eat, it's for his campaign. In the US, you raise money before you show. Exactly what Bobby Wine is doing. That's what is done in the US. Fundraise first and show and account for the money that you have raised. And you're living to die in Maokota South. I knew people in Maokota South for Kwashako. I'm very sure. I know them for Kwashako. Kwashako is a protein energy malnutrition.
We're going to have a few people, I think Joe has dropped off. He's been waiting. He has to go somewhere. I
sent microphones out. In fact, I want people to speak, not necessarily as medics. Speak of experience. In fact, Jesse Kelvin, I worked with Jesse Kelvin in Tororo. He knows how much doctors are quiet about the USAID. For me, I'm one proud contributor to this change, because I said, Trump, I'm happy. Because
we have Joe. Can I interrupt? We have Joe who's been waiting for the mic for a while. Can we have him hear what he has to say, and especially policies and all that sort of thing? Joe, the mic is yours.
Thank you very much, Comrade Sarah. Thank you very much, Dr. Mgeni, other speakers and listeners. This is a very, very good topic. Pretty long, I think, long overdue. And I think, first of all, let me commend my comrade, my brother Mgeni, for being a voice, for being relentless, for always fighting for the voiceless. And this man's activism has not just started today. And I think, it went on. He has said at Barare.
Sarah, we have lost Joe.
I think we have. Joe, I think he has network issues. Okay, Joe, whenever you, I think the mic has dropped. Whenever you're ready, you can pick up the mic. For those who do not know about Dr. Ruhanga Meisho, this is a doctor from Hoima. Yes, who needed. Joe, are you back?
Yes. Do you hear me?
Go on.
Well, I think there are issues. Yes, I was just saying, I was just really acknowledging and commending our brother, Dr. Mgeni, who has been relentless in his fight, naming issue and every issue. And this hasn't started from the US. This is a man, I think, way back to the time when he was at St. Peter's. He has been standing for the voiceless, for the common man. And he continues to challenge and to inspire all of us, in particular the Ugandan doctors, ladies and gentlemen. The profession of a medical doctor is very, very high wherever you go. In my experience, having lived in Europe, in the UK, in the US, a doctor's word is taken very, very seriously. Even that is why you hear them being called to committees to give their views on certain issues, not necessarily medical, but even social issues. So the voice of a medical doctor, weighs very, very heavily. Unfortunately, in Uganda, the dictator has completely degraded the profession. He has pulverized the profession, and I think just going by the budget that goes towards the health sector, according to the Abuja Declaration, it was recommended that every African country should contribute at least 15% of its budget. But look at Uganda; it's a paltry 6%, sometimes 7%, sometimes even much less. And this is because the health sector is not given the priority and the importance that it deserves. Furthermore, we see that our doctors in Uganda, they are amongst the most poorly paid. Compare them to members of parliament who are not necessarily the most qualified, who are not necessarily the most brilliant of citizens, but they're earning 30 million plus allowances. Whilst a doctor, whilst a nurse, whilst teachers, they're living a very tough life. So I think this in a way kind of compromises our people. But I think it is up to the individuals. Now we've seen that some of the doctors have sunk so low. This man, was he called Obedo or Abedo, the guy who knelt down, almost adoring Museveni, calling Museveni, a demigod. Now that is the level some of our doctors have been reduced to, but they don't necessarily need to, to bow to Museveni. They still have a lot of power that they leverage. They still have a lot of power, and that power can be leveraged into some action. For example, yes, becoming members of parliament, but they don't even have necessarily to become members of parliament. I think they can still leverage that power in positions where they are. Ladies and gentlemen, let's face it. Somebody who makes decisions over your life, I think, he's if we're talking about hierarchy, I think he's standing next to God. He's someone who has powers over you. And I think that's why sometimes Dr. Mgeni laments and says, if he went back to Uganda, I think he would decide that maybe some generation should not live. So literally, these people have powers over our lives. So seriously, I think it is very, very unfortunate that they've accepted the situation they've been put into. They have power. They can, I think, they can make changes, and they can be defiant, not necessarily defiant, but they can be assertive. And I think that is the power that we need to regain from, we urge our doctors, the medical fraternity. That is the power that they must resuscitate. That is the power that they must, regain. They have that power. But for some reason, I think they've just decided to go cold, which is very, very unfortunate. Sometimes we compromise for much less, settling for much less. I don't think it should be the case. I really think there should be a awakening amongst our people. And it would have been very, very interesting to hear their views, what exactly is going on. And I think this no show even speaks volumes about exactly the position of a doctor. I think they're scared. They don't want to come here. And clearly, I think Dr. Obuku said it. He fears the consequences. He might be penalized. He might not get the position that he's fighting for. But sometimes I think we have to stake even those positions. They should. I think what they need to do is to come out and speak. Now, no matter what the consequences, if they start speaking truth to power, I think that is when we'll stand up to be counted. That is when they will, there will be a force to reckon with. But the moment they cow away and fear, to confront the ugly situation that we're in, I think that is really just going to compound their positions. That is going to weaken their voices, and Museveni will just continue loading it over them. So I think they should come out. And I think the situation of Dr. Was it called Ramaisho? Dr.
Bahanga.
Yes. So that is again a very, very good example. So we would have expected him again to be at the forefront of really speaking, for example, for people who are in a similar situation that he was in. But he has gone quiet for whatever reasons. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we need to reclaim that space. We need to reclaim that space, especially the medical fraternity. I think they've been so subservient. It is very unfortunate. They have the powers to reclaim that space, to reclaim that power, and really to reassert themselves in society. I think they've just taken a fight, lying on the floor. No, it shouldn't be like that. They must fight back and reclaim their position in society. Because I think it's only Uganda where doctors, their position is just so degraded, and where, politics, I think, takes precedence over, over a profession like medicine, which is really, just look at the time that they invest even in studying. But above all, these people, they have power over our lives. So I think they can reclaim that power, and they can use it either for social change or policy, because a doctor's work is about saving life. And in many, many ways, they're very influential, so they can, use their position to be agents of change. I really think they can reclaim that position. Over to you, Comrade Sarah. I give others a chance to speak. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your input. Like we're saying, I was reading on this doctor from Senegal, who has influenced not only Senegalese policies, but Africa as well. She doesn't sit on any government. She doesn't hold any government body, but her influence as a psychologist has influenced. She has worked so hard to influence these things. And when you look at our political status currently in Uganda, you don't want to go in a hospital and you see the divide, this is NRM, this is that. You don't want to be treated by a doctor who belongs to a certain political party because you're going to feel a certain way. And like James said, that they are supposed to be neutral. They are supposed to remain neutral and be able to give a service without even having to think, I need to give this person extra care or this person less care. And again, I was talking about Dr. Ruhanga Maisho. For those who don't know the quick story about him, he's a medical doctor. He has his own clinic in what's the place again?
Hoima.
In Hoima. He serves thousands of people per month, which means that the hospital in Hoima gets to, if without his services, they would be overwhelmed. He serves people, a huge community, and he has done so for a very long time. Now, when his kidneys started failing, there was nobody to stand with him. And this is obviously because of the doctors don't even have anything to fall back on in terms of medical insurance or anything like that. This man had to travel from Hoima twice a week to come to Kampala to get his dialysis. Twice a week. He didn't have a car. He had to sit in public transport. Each time they would come overnight, stay, get the treatment overnight, and the following day they would get back in a taxi and go back. And as time went by, his health, obviously, with chemo and everything, he was coming for chemo. With chemo and everything, he was getting weaker and weaker. And they were looking for a certain amount to go to hospital to get a kidney transplant. And luckily, his wife was a match, and she was willing to donate one of her kidneys. The challenge, though, was that there wasn't enough funds. Doctors were very, very quiet. There are hundreds of thousands of doctors in Uganda. You'd think that if they sat together and just went like, each one of you bring 20 mitwale ebiri, we can pull this off. But they were scared to be seen talking about this or campaigning for this or any of these things. We ended up having to do this fundraiser for them on their behalf. There was this WhatsApp group where there was hundreds of them. They couldn't even attend spaces. And these are people who, they couldn't attend spaces. Anyways, long story short, we did the initial space where the wife came, and obviously it was very difficult for her, being the person who is the caretaker, as well as the wife, as well as young families. So they have 2 young daughters and everything. It was very, very emotional for her. And bless her, she was very strong. She told, because we're like, let's tell this story once, only once. We capture that, and then we shall use that to appeal to people, which she did. And that helped us to push this. And then eventually, it went on national television, and the likes of Seranja and the rest picked up on the story. Now, fast forward, they went, got the treatment, and the operation took place and everything, and they came back. Since they came back, you would have thought, and this is what James was saying, you would have thought one of them would become a campaigner. One of them would actually speak up for those who are not able to get that sort of visibility, for those who are not able to get help, for those who are not able to, to get that sort of support. We did reach out to them once they came back, checked up on them. They are both feeling fine. Imagine this small team, apart from putting that together, they were able even to find psychologists to work with them, to help them to get through this process. They're able to find a few things just to make sure that things moved smoothly. There is absolutely no voice. Do you remember during that campaign season, there was a nationwide tour where NOP went that part of the country? They literally had to go to NOP rallies to hold this placard, so that they could get the visibility. They were not standing. There were no doctors standing with them. There's obviously, I think they do have pictures where they stood, they managed to hijack David Louis Rubongoya and took some pictures with him. And then we were literally begging him, please post this. And whenever he would post, we would put the links and all that sort of thing. These doctors, after this one person got that treatment, they went quiet. You would have expected at least one of them to learn from that and become an advocate without any party affiliation, without none of that, but to come out and go like, listen, this system is not working for us. This system needs to change. We need to change policy. And one of the reasons was because he was not attached to a main hospital. That's why nobody would stand with him.
Sarah, may I just come in here?
Go on.
Thank you very much, Sarah. And which I think brings me to let's look at the Uganda Medical Association. I don't know how many members they are, but my guess is I think between 3,000 and 5,000 members. That is just guesstimating. And we flagged this case, and it was critical actually that the doctor had just not long to leave, as a matter of fact. So as a matter of urgency, we thought, the Uganda Medical Association, as a medical institution, had the power, had the resources, and I think was in a better position to actually manage this case and intervene. What happened? I think everything was just in disarray. Now we just a ragtag group of just a few comrades, we got together and we started mobilizing. I think we said, like, listen, let's even just each member of the Uganda Medical Association contribute maybe 100,000 or 200,000, at most 500.
Joe, we've lost you. Can you hear Joe?
No.
I think his connection is playing up. As we wait for Joe to come back, please pick up the mic. I saw Segia was on here. He's quiet. Muji Martin. Joe has dropped off.
Hi, sir.
Yeah, he's back.
Sorry. Yeah, I was saying that this again speaks to the impotence of our Ugandan doctors. I mean, a powerful association like the Uganda Medical Association, that was very, very powerful. It is a powerful institution. It was better positioned actually intervene in Dr. Ruhangamaisho's case. But they were disorganized. Now we are a small group of just individuals, networked, and we were to raise this amount. I was saying the budget was in 150 million, something like that, which we did, of course, against odds. But what am I saying? So a whole association of the medical fraternity wields a lot of power, but they've not been able to leverage that power to whether to fight for their working conditions, whether to fight for to raise their salaries and working conditions in general. They've not been able to use that. So this is where we are, and I think that is why really doctors we say that the medical fraternity must wake up. They do not necessarily have to come to politics, but I think they just need to reclaim their space. They have power, and they can use that power as a medical association. I think medical associations the world over, they're very, very powerful. If they intervene, if they talk to the government will listen. But unless they take back that power, I think we shall just continue. They will just continue, being ignored and being undermined and being degraded. That is where I wanted to say, comrade. Back to you. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Mr. Co-host, do you want to take on?
I'm trying to call Good Girl. Just pick this microphone and speak to us. In that, Good Girl, I think yesterday, and Dr. Morgan hosted a space. Good Girl dropped off at 1 a.m. because she was tired. But the people were still coming in. And that tells you how much. Because that space yesterday degraded medicine. And it's me who came in. I'm like, no, stop it. Don't say that about Mulago. There's this statement about Saube Mulago in the lingua. About Saube Mulago. That statement sounds like a police in Uganda. Personally, I hate listening to it. Personally, I hated being bundled up in that statement. And that's why I'm like, no. The reason we need this space, we need the doctors to come up and stand. By the way, the medical director of Mulago Hospital talks at the same level. I think if it is like, who are your phone contacts? Museveni is one of them. Direct. And that's how powerful medicine is. I have often told people that medicine is justice. How many of you saw this? There's this lady from Busoga, the judge, who was crying after losing her husband. And she was talking about Mulago. Muyagonja. Did you hear Muyagonja's story? She called it medical tourism. Running between hospitals. If you have not done it like some of us, you are very lucky, because I have also done medical tourism. Like I told you, I drove from Tororo. Right now I have my own son who needs surgery. And with all my connections, I've been told I need $10,000 for the surgery to be carried out in Uganda. He needs a hip replacement. And these are things that policy changes. A mass statement. There's what we call a mass statement that surgeons sit down and say, we are going to operate on this person. And they have a budget for it. I don't think they have it anymore. There's that emergency fund where they also just don't have to start looking around, given to them. So, as Ugandans, maybe, can you also try to hold these doctors accountable? I've just seen one hired in which district? I mean, an intern who has been arrested for extorting money from a patient. An intern, you've just been posted and you're already extorting money. And now if you just follow, if you see online, the doctors are the ones now promoting interns, they are saying, oh, the government, thank you. I'm like, you people, make sure it is not politics now. Make sure you have not been given this money because it's a political environment. Me who comes from the fishing community, we say fish that is destined for death flows with the water. After elections, we shall hear people saying, we have not been paid. And yet this thing needs to be sorted out right now. Don't allow Dr. Buku to be desperate. I keep telling you people that because I know what it means. Don't allow him to, because Lira might not send him. But if Lira needs money, the doctors, you have money. Put hands together and let Dr. Buku have money to come back to parliament to influence policy. You lost it long time ago. That's why I was telling you for me. I fell out with the system. I was eliminated from the system. You go to a world where doctors are speaking and say, don't bring politics. And I say, yes, it's not politics. It is the reality. Who can speak for that person who needs, not even a kidney transplant, an anti-malarial? Who can speak for that person who needs to be dewormed? So we left the medicine to go to the dogs. 2 days ago, we saw the National Referral Hospital by the military. Then you ask yourself, will these doctors subscribe to the medical council anymore? Who has a voice? Who will set standards? If the people who are supposed to set standards are cowards, they're cowards. If people who are supposed to set standards think they need an umbrella to get electrified, for me, one of the things that makes me walk tall every time I know there's something I owe you. There's something I will give to you because you could be this, you could be this, you could be this. I've even met Kaziwe. Kaziwe one time as a patient, and yet she was a doctor also. And we met in the hospital. I'm like, hey, so you also come for these small things here. And that's what medicine does. Moses Ali, I can almost say a statement that Bessie one time said, I saved this man. Bessie said that about Museveni. I didn't know. Today I'm seeing Moses Ali collapsing, and I'm like, medicine should speak a little about this. Can Moses Ali be appointed Minister of Health? Maybe he will wake up the doctors. Yes. Let him be appointed Minister of Health. After all, he's coming back elected from that elected position. He falls in the pool the president must appoint. Let him be appointed Minister of Health. Those pictures tell you how medicine has gone to the dogs. Yesterday when I told my colleagues in the other space where the nutritionist, I told him, I have 3 young daughters in the US who all got a car seat from the hospital. The car seats I have in my car came at birth with Ugandan potholes. I'm sure the Ugandan doctors will recommend every child leaving the hospital. You can't leave a US hospital without a car seat because they must protect the brain of the child. Sometimes you see most of these Ugandans, their brains have been shaken from birth. What can one say? Where would a child in the US leave a hospital in a car seat? And the reason is medical. They're protecting the brain from concussion. Death after discharge, you're living in a car seat. A car seat which you live at 8 years. That is medicine. Don't you think? I normally listen to these social talkers. There's a woman called Full Figure says, can even tell you the Wayika window. I don't know what it means. I leave it to you. Say, go, pick a microphone. When someone says Wayika window, is that bad? When you're leaving a hospital, you live in a car seat. In those potholes. Mujika windows. But the people who are supposed to protect you are in clinical coats and stethoscopes. Sarah, I think we have spoken. If there's nobody willing to pick a microphone, this space is recorded. I'm sure I can share it with we shall share it with our doctors. Me, I know how to reach them. Apart from Dr. Obuku, who asked for an excuse, all the other speakers, the rest we expected, didn't give a word. Dr. Membeto, he was mobilizing, so I don't know whether. And he's a secretary of the Medical Association. I told you, as a subscriber to the allied health profession, we raise 3 billion shillings in a year. And this money is meant for supervision and training and others. They just put and others. And nobody is questioning, where is this money? I think the Uganda Medical Council and the dental practitioners pay 2.5 million for that annual license. And then you'll ask, where is this money? For me, I would like to fundraise. I would like to see doctors fundraising for anyone. If they say, Narukwago is where? Let's get fundraise for her to go and meet the people. He's going to meet the patients, the sick. Dr. Mirembe in Maokota South is going to meet patients, the sick. Who will want to exchange money for a vote? Who will want meat? Who will want milk? Who will want something? Not even milk. Anyway, the conclusion from Dr. Kobusinje, the trauma surgeon, in her book, The Patient, Sacrifice, Genius, and Greed in Uganda's healthcare system. That's the cover page. And then I'll quote also Inspired Physician Leadership, Creating Influence and Impact, a book written by a professor in the United States, and says, progressive physician leaders must consider broad and at times competing perspectives. They must be able to listen with patience and reflection. They must engage in the complex process of dialogue, negotiation, and persuasion. They must embrace with agility the highly politicized process of creating influence. I would regard the Mirembe, Obuku, Shamimu, Nalukwago as heroes, health heroes. I would regard them as that. But we have more doctors where this space should have been filled because we influence so many people. I'm sure you have come because I don't want to own it, but I thank you for being here. If I influence you, like Joe said, if I inspire you, like Joe said, me who is speaking, I have a certificate from President Trump as an influencer in the United States. And I may not be influencing Ugandans. But this voice you listen to has been the same. It has been on radios, has been on TVs if I left Uganda. And I had been described as unemployable. I was only looking for better working conditions. To serve Ugandans, Ugandans need better. The country where I'm speaking from, we have 947 cities. A small country smaller than Uganda. We have 3.1 million people in Iowa, where I am. We have 30,000 football stadiums. You guys are celebrating maybe Nambolia and then a few now. We have 30,000. It's almost for every 10 people there's a stadium. We are the food basket of America. And also sometimes described as the food basket of the world. We grow corn, maize, kasori. Uganda is an agricultural economy. That I'm sure Iowa can feed. Maybe Iowa is even feeding you because from Iowa University, we have professors who come to Uganda to teach in the agricultural department. Yes, I have evidence of that. The Ugandans who come here, I normally tell them, this is not prayer. It's science. It's people who have gone to school. They even have a very huge post in town, engineering, design, create nations, create cities. Yes. Uganda is bleeding. Pick a microphone and I was wrapping up. I didn't know.
I think we shall be wrapping up at the top of the hour. Big Bumper, if you see, Uganda is bleeding is here. Do you want to unmute and speak to us? And then we shall wind up at the top of the hour. Uganda is bleeding.
Hey, thank you. Thank you so much, comrades. Doctors here. I salute you and thank you for organizing the space. Oh God. Yeah, I've been listening in. It's been a journey. Yeah, thank you so much. I know you've said a lot. I really hope that doctors have heard or are going to hear or are hearing, and of course, let us continue to ask, the medical community in Uganda, we ask, where is their outrage? Where is their condemnation, for the torture, the abuse, the sodomy, by those perpetrated by those in power, So we've seen so many of our brothers and sisters. Some are hacked to death. Others show up with broken limbs, others sliced or cut fingers. And the majority are sodomized, the men, the women, So we condemn. Sorry, I got a phone call. We condemn all this that is taking place, The doctors, I do believe, have got an oath and they should actually act. And of course, we see them as healers. They are healers, They have a duty to report all those atrocities, So we ask the doctors to stand up as you're closing, and we ask that they should stand up for those victims and demand justice, So what's their role if our brothers and sisters are going to show up from Muhoozi's basement, Museveni's murderous son's basement, and they've got broken legs, broken limbs, and these doctors are just quiet, you know? Others are murdered and they die at the doors of the hospitals, Mulago Hospital, whatever, you know? Others are suffocated to death, you know? So the doctors are just silent. They are silent. Yeah. So that silence in the medical profession, you know, is for us, we see it as it's brutality, you know. So they really deaf, or rather they are acting like they are not part, or they're not part of the community. They're not bothered about what happens in their community, you know. So it is terrible. Yeah, we urge them to break their silence. Yeah, speak against these human rights violations, you know, and of course to uphold their principles of medical ethics, you know. So we should be asking, where are their ethics? Whilst Ugandans are tortured like this, brutalized, you know, murdered, just like that, you know. So anyway, I really thank you guys, yeah, and really demand that the doctors arise. They should arise and take their place, you know. They should speak up, speak up, speak up, speak up, stand up, you know. The people of Uganda deserve better, you know, yeah. So let us get the doctors listening to us. Thank you for the doctors that have shown up, and hopefully the message is shared, and let them come with answers next time, and let them take their place. Let them arise. We want to see doctors do their job, you know. Thank you, Dr. Mgenyi. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Sarah. Thank
I'd
you,
like to
everybody.
recognize, thank you so much, Dorcas. I'd like
I'm
to
sure, Sarah,
recognize
you're
the
the president
presence
of the
yes.
Uganda Law Society. That's what I wanted to say also, and it's good we saw him. Here is the quick one. When we were still struggling with the retire,
Olivia, yeah.
retire. I used to ask, where is medicine? You know, medicine stands together with justice. I used to ask that, but do we have pediatricians in Uganda? If there's any pediatrician who can document that Oliver Retire's children are sick, the law requires, on medical grounds, which will be Oliver Retire's children, be released. And I'm like, but the doctors were quiet. The doctors were quiet. It hurt me so much. And so when I see Isaac Semakade, almost every week I'm drumming, Isaac, drag medics into your conversations. Because there's a relationship. There's no way doctors fail to penetrate Luzira. There is no way. And then you're like, which doctor cleared Sebufu or Eddie Mutwe to come limping for trial? Which doctor runs medicine in Luzira who has failed to see that the inmates require treatment? All these statements relate to what we are talking about here. That the doctors just took a back seat. That they can even tell the country release Besige on medical ground and the country refuses. And then you find doctors, on the other hand, who are haggling Besige. The very question I've asked you that now that you have left Dr. Mirembe, you have left Dr. Nalukwa, you have left Dr. Shamim to join the rebel group, to join NUP. We are creating another Besige. More Besiges are being created. How many of you will be comfortable seeing this beautiful woman called Nalukwago in prison? Because she stood with NUP. And like I've told you, the allied health professionals alone, I have not included the medical clinical officers alone, contribute up 3 billion shillings in annual practicing license. Me who was in Uganda, I own a clinic. Most of these guys, when they come for supervision, they'll say, Mpa mafuta gange. They ask for that. He's driving a government car. He's on government salary. He has come to your clinic, which of course is not, it doesn't have everything that is required. And they're going to push you on the wall. The toilet is not good. You don't have a hand wash basin. And you buy your way. I know these things because I've been there. I often fought back. I'm like, you guys, if you have come to supervise my clinic and you have found something deficient, help me to improve. Let's cooperate. Bring for me what is missing. These people I pick money from pay in terms of gorogoro, of maize. Somebody brings for you plucked maize from the garden. Somehow treat me. And for you come and say my clinic doesn't meet standards. You have 3 billion from annual practicing license. I'm sure it's more than that on the dental practitioners and medicine. And so for me, I have been crying and I keep crying. I'm like, no. Are these medics really? Are these statements correct? Then you see people limping from prisons, and there's a medic there. Prison is congested. I'm told. I've not been there of late. I was last there when Moses Ali was still in prison. That prison is congested. Where is public health where Obuko has PhD? So for me, Isaac Semakade, much as you might not even pick this microphone, we would love to see rebellion in medics like you did, like your line of improving law. The rebel new bus. So we want rebel medics. The deity. Medicine is kind of parenting, the way we are trained. Like I've said, we are failing simply because nurses are respecting doctors. The nurses in the United States are very independent. We are failing simply because the medical clinical are respecting doctors. The physician associates in the United States are independent. For us, we still have that deity. You walk with your hands behind because you're meeting a surgeon, you're meeting a consultant. He tells you he's proud of his years. But this leadership has failed. Just leadership is not those books. Leadership is different. Leadership is just common sense things. You're morally neutral in a place where a mother has died, and you don't want to point it out. That's nonsense. Well,
before we wind down, I wonder if the president of Uganda Law Society would like to take the mic and give us, I know he's not a doctor, but to give us a word or two regarding some of the issues that have been risen, I say regarding the people like Eddie Mutwe, who we all saw the dire state he was in when he was released from the safe houses, whatever they call them, and the lack of that the voices of doctors and the lack of that front from the medical fraternity later on from other corners. It is very disturbing to see that some people want to go ahead and take on these positions, but it will be good to see them, even if they're not in political positions, to see them raise their voices, to see them actually speak up on some of these issues that are dire. Comrade Joe, you've got your mic up, and if you can give us your remarks as well, your final remarks, and we shall soon close down.
Thank you very much, Comrade Sarah. I think in your last submissions that they've touched on something, the sinister aspect of medicine. And here I'm speaking to those doctors who have taken a Hippocratic oath. Of course, the Hippocratic oath outlines the ethical principles and responsibilities that are about patient care. But we have doctors who are aiding and abetting the system in torturing victims or helping victims who are being tortured to recover by injecting them, with substances. That is one. We have doctors who are engaging in the human organ trafficking, who are harvesting people's organs. They are in Uganda. So we really want to speak to that category of those devil-died scoundrels, really, that, the oath they took is to protect and preserve life, not to take away life, and not to aid and abet torture. So many of them have been they've been employed, particularly in the army, where torture victims are often, whisked away, treated before they appear in court, to show some level of recovery. So I think that those people also, they should rethink their positions. And as we said, there is going to be accountability, and all these videos will be exposed. It is just a matter of time, and it's going to be sooner, I think, than later. So I think those kinds of doctors also must be addressed. And they must rethink their position because they're not going to be protected by Museveni. The dictator is going anytime. So the hour of reckoning is coming. And I think those ones also really must rethink their positions and really either quit the profession or do the right thing, but not aid and abet the dictator through torture or through, harvest of our citizens' organs. Comrade, I yield the mic. That is what I wanted to say. I look forward to listening to Comrade Isaac Semakade. Thank you. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joe. I hope Isaac is able to speak. He's got the mic. Thank you. The mic is yours.
Thank you, Sarah. And thank you, Dr. Mungati. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have begun our descent. I'm arriving in Toronto, so I may not be able to articulate what I wanted to put across. But I have listened initially anonymously, and later on at the urging of the good Dr. Mungati, I joined publicly. I want to acknowledge that medicine has always been at the forefront of good governance. That is a tradition globally and in many resistance movements, including in Uganda as well. Makerere Hill, which is the birthplace of modern medicine for East and Central Africa, has actually produced some of the very best organizers of our society. And a deliberate effort was done to dismantle the resilience of doctors and medical students, to uproot them from the epicenter of struggles for improvement of the human condition. And the forces were not just local, they were global as well. The entire Imperial project needed to weaken the foundations of African resistance. And as Dr. Mungadi has said, the doctor is, and when I say doctor, I use it in general terms, not just the surgeon or the GP, but including, I use it in the vernacular sense. That means everybody in the service, medical services, allied health workers, dental practitioners, they are trusted. And the Hippocratic Oath is it's a very potent resource for social organization, because people yield to your leadership. So doctors are really social leaders, and if they don't need to say much to lead men, to lead women, they are natural leaders, because they concern themselves with the things that matter the most: life, nutrition, health. They represent the apex of education. And of course, they permit us to enjoy the benefits of life, because without health, what do you live for? You can't access the promise of the sunlight and so on. So, the topic of the day, it calls for reimagining pathways for young generation of medics to rediscover their courage, their traditions, their true history, so that they can restore, I guess, what is left of the dignity of this profession. In very concrete terms, recently I was watching an interview of Dr. Roy Semboka, and it pained me that a political party like the National Unity Platform can keep Dr. Roy, in suspense of his position as a leader of this generation. It pained me. I almost cried seeing him being interrogated by this lumpen called Kagwanta. It pained me. I did write to him. I thought I had his number as a former client. I helped him when he was guild president. But I did write to him a DM. Let me try to read it, because he hasn't replied it. I told him, they're making you come off bitter. It's not your brand. You are a far more legitimate youth leader. Talk up your strengths and value to the party's strategic objectives, as opposed to your rivals' blood relations. I think Dr. Mungadi has brought it up very well. That I was trying to tell Roy that speak to the essence of why doctors must be centered, why a doctor of your age, of your situation, must be centered in the fulcrum, in the engine room of the party. Why a doctor is far more important than the blood relations of the party's principle. And I think if that's the point he was making, Kagwandala would have had no comebacks. The impishness of his, remarks would have been laid bare, because what is he supposed to say now? When Roy makes the point that for a doctor to leave the scrubs and come and put himself or herself in the humiliating higgy-haga of our ever-declining politics, he must not be disturbed, because every time of a doctor you disturb, doctors must be told they're either legitimate at the ballot or not, and they return to medicine. If we don't want doctors in our politics, let us tell them up front that we don't want you. We can't make them line up. We can't keep Roy unsure of his place in whom. This current, the 1986 class, they were far more organized than us, because they didn't keep doctors waiting. Even at the front line. If you look at the cabinet of 1980, 79, whichever medical doctor chose to dip a toe in politics, they gave them cabinet. They gave him even Amin did not disturb doctor. When you read State of Blood, Henry Jeppa wasn't a doctor. He was just permanent secretary, Minister of Health. But he says he can write everything bad about Amin, but he cannot lie that Amin destroyed Mulago. That's the only positive he offers. He says on that point, I was there. That place was ring fenced. That's where Amin got his treatment. That's where Aborted got his treatment. And it's not because they were stopped by foreigners. Anyway, I will stop here. I think I've said my part. We have to ask ourselves, since when did we diminish the value of medics, the value of a doctor who has left the scrubs, the nursing bed to come under the tree and participate in a social conversation? And we diminish them and we put them on the same pedestal like Manyagwa, like everybody else. Really, where are we going? Anyway, I will leave other young people to speak.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your time and safe travels. At this point, we've been joined by Principal D. We want to hear your thoughts. Can you unmute and speak to us? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Mongadi had been on my neck and I didn't want to disappoint him. I've heard what our Council Isaac Semakade has spoken, and I think you can hear how much people hold doctors high. I think you can hear. But I want to drive, I want to tell the doctors this, that when you read Museveni's letter of yesterday, you will see him telling us how he has prioritized roads and electricity over other sectors, which includes health, of course, if you read the letter. And then he goes ahead and tells us that from 2005 upward, he decided to make the budget for roads and electricity shoot up because he wanted to build the roads and electricity to shoot up. And indeed the budget went up. But also you remember that electricity distribution was majorly by Umeme, electricity generation was still by a private company, and the budget that Parliament was passing, when you look at Auditor General's report, most of it went to corruption. And then he still says that he wants that budget up again, and he puts himself as the only person who actually knows where Uganda is going, the only person who has the mandate to think and plan for Uganda. But in so doing, he's telling us that he has done so many sacrifices, and such sacrifices include the health sector. He has left us to die, our mothers to die, and education, in favor of roads and electricity. So you will ask yourself that who leaves mothers to die in the hospital with the excuse that he's fixing potholes, which potholes never end? Who leaves the health center falls without medicine because he wants electricity to reach the cities? Because the roads that he talks about, when you look at them, they are highways. If you go to Gulu has one of the good roads, but those roads end within the city. When you leave the city like this, few meters, there are no tarmac. So you wonder why he's spending so much time. It is 20 years he's prioritizing electricity and roads against the health sector. So what does it mean? It means the doctors need to get involved in policy shaping, not just advocacy. They need to sit in that parliament, because people have spoken a lot. Even people ask me why you're in the medical field, people shouldn't even be out here talking about justice. But you see, when I sat inside Gulu Regional Referral Hospital, the consultation room, we have old mothers there who come and you want to prescribe for them the medicines that work, but these medicines are not there. Then you end up having to explain to the mother that, you see, we are in this mess because you, the elders, failed to chase this government and we are in this mess and there's nothing I can do for you. So in so doing, you find yourself that every day you have to talk about the rotty government. That you receive an emergency. At one point in Mulago, I'll tell you this, during my hospital practice, we had one oxygen cylinder, that's casualty. And we had to connect it to several patients. And it is shameful that at one point we have to use giving set, this one where you see they connect to the fluid and pass it onto your vein, because we needed it to reach many patients. It is bad practice, but the casualty of Mulago on a rainy day is a mess. I don't know how it is these days. By the time I was doing hospital practice, I was like, what? When you see ambulance rushing with patients to Mulago, when they reach there, the rush stops when the ambulance reaches. They will dump you there at casualty. By then, I don't know now. You find casualty is full with patients down on the floor. Others bleeding. That's where someone can even get HIV and all that, because they are all bleeding. They are all on the floor. Now, what used to happen is this. The one you see that will not make it, you push towards the mortuary and you focus on the ones you see will make it. And these are experienced by the people in the medical field. They know what exactly is actually happening. And if you leave such policy making into the hands of politicians alone, then we end up with Museveni prioritizing roads and electricity and leaving the health sector to die. When you read Auditor General's report of 2024, it was 3 trillion that was put to the health sector. 3 trillion or billion. But out of that, when you read it, you cry. After reading it, I wrote an article, but it was so more against government, and the Daily Monitor refused to publish it. And that can only be seen by someone in the medical field. I'll give you another example. The Uganda Law Society. Lawyers are people we hold so high in society. You know that home, if you're not a lawyer, a doctor, engineer, the parents of those days did see you as something important. Lawyers are very much respected. But I'll give you an example that I wrote something about language. And that something about language, I wrote it, the title was When Truth Starts to Sound Like an Insult, Uganda's Language War of Liberation. In that, I say the president of Uganda Law Society questioned the legality of the current DPP, which we all know she's in office illegal. He made it clear that the DPP has become a political persecutor. It's using the office while conniving with the judiciary to politically persecute those that government see as threats. And then when he made a speech in the gathering of PFF, you saw what every civil society came up speaking. You saw what every person of decorum came up speaking. Vulgar. Now the man is so vulgar. You can't speak that, you can't speak that. And we saw even our own judiciary twisting laws to have the president of Uganda Law Society put behind bars. But none, I say again, none of them came out to put this question that is actually the matter to be discussed. That what was he saying? Was it right? Do we have the DPP there as occupying that space illegally? Yes. What should be done about it? Are we having the office of the DPP turned into a political persecution organ? Yes. What can we do about it? But you saw everything shifted into the president of Uganda Law Society is very vulgar. Now, my analysis is that in Uganda we have a paradox, and the paradox is that rudeness offends more than repression. Because if we have politicians looting with impunity, security organs abducting citizens in broad daylight, court delayed justice for 5 years, but just one lawyer speaks harshly with a loud tone, and then he becomes the major threat to government. I don't know. It makes me feel to understand Uganda. What does it mean? It brings me back to the doctors that, number one, the lawyers have been captured. They are fighting. There's a revolution that is being headed by Uganda Law Society right now. And it is up to the doctors to join the fight. If you read Museveni's letter yesterday, he said the salaries of the civil servants can wait. That he has had to deal with several strikes of intern doctors and even teachers. But what does he conclude and say? He said those can wait. Let us focus on the roads. Imagine. He said those can wait because, in my understanding, I want to believe that he might not be having enough doctors up there to push them into understanding that, look, the situation there is not okay. Trust me, the way a politician speaks and is perceived is different from the way doctor will speak and is perceived. Leave alone doctors like me who are known just because of activism. Me, I'm known for activism. And I've given you the background of how it started. That once you're in the hospital, and then you decide to work under such environment and remain silent, trust me, you're being part of those that are operating you. Ugandans. I give you an example. One time we were in Mubende doing hospital practice. We stayed without medicine for like 4 months. 3 to 4 months. And this truck from NMS came bringing medicine. Of course, when coming, nobody villagers know. Leaving alone villagers, even the people who are connected in the villages to those in NRM and government, get to know that medicine is being brought. The truck entered the hospital. And you know what it brought? It brought condoms. Boxes of condoms. Villagers saw the truck, the following day they were fully in hospital. That we saw the truck came, you can't tell us nothing, there's medicine. So you can imagine. Where do you report that? You don't have doctors. At the top. People spend 4 months without medicine and all you can bring is boxes of condoms full of a truck. It is a true story. You can ask someone who practices from Uganda, who has been there for some time. The time you wait for that truck, and when it comes with IV fluid. No other medicine. You can bring IV fluid. Wait for other months, it will come. Look at take interest and look at the Auditor General's report of last year and see how they dismantled the money. And see that their health center falls, their ghost health center falls. That money is there. We have money. When you look at Auditor General's report for last year, money is there for the health sector. But what is happening? There's corruption. That is too much. The corruption ranges from paying ghost health workers to building ghost health centers. That there are even health centers that are complete, but there's no water, no staff, no nothing. It is a building. Who is supposed to, you realize that advocacy alone will not change, but you need doctors to be part of those in parliament that can speak the language that people understand, because clearly those politicians in parliament cannot understand what is happening down here. They get treatment abroad. I've diverted my discussion into the direction of treatment. The politicians in parliament get treatment abroad. They can't understand what is happening here. It is the same way I would say we need a teacher to be the Minister of Education and Sports. Not General Museveni's wife. Because you get a teacher, Ugandan teacher here, has had their children gone through this system. They understand what is going through. The same way we need doctors up there. Leave alone when we talk about Dr. Cheng Jane Ruth. You clearly see she's powerless. And even COVID-19 came and exposed a lot of corruption under their leadership. I don't want to go there because but all that is happening because we have very few doctors inside there. I don't want to give reference to Dr. Bariomosh that now we have some doctors up there, they're actually doing policy. No, Dr. Bariomosh got an emergency and he was airlifted. He has a health center near his home in his own constituency. It could not give him first aid. Why is that happening? Because he's part of the ruling system, and you know that if you're NRM, you can't speak. And we need to change that. We need more doctors up there. So for the doctors, your work is not only to be in hospital and wait for what is there and use it, and what is there, you shut. No. Because if you do not tell them what is actually happening there, nothing can change, by the way. Dr. Mongadi, I don't want to go further. I want to stop here. And my last word is, as other professions have been attacked, like the lawyers are the ones who are supposed to be telling us about the law, defending us by law, defending the constitution. You can see that before the coming of the current radical Nuba, they had no problem, the government had no problem with it. But once you start to speak against power and start to want to change things right, they will attack you. And the lawyers right now, they're under attack. The Ugandan Law Society is under attack. But I'm glad they are fighting back. Those people have not shut. I think you see what they are doing. If you follow well, you understand that they are doing great work, and you understand that there's a revolution happening. It is on us now, the doctors, to say enough is enough. Let revolution happen in every profession and every institution. It is happening in the side of the judiciary. It is up to us to initiate the ones in the side of the medicine. Thank you, Dr. Mongadi.
Oh, yes.
Thank you so much.
Sarah, Dr. Mirembe is here, and I think he's one person who was supposed to be a special guest, and I think we can't close without listening to him. But
yes, can we have Dr. Joel Mirembe, who is one of the panelists, and talk about the...
But before he comes in, I just wanted to say something, and so that it initiates him to what we want to hear from him. And I think I wanted to mention something on the Hippocratic Oath, such that the Hippocratic Oath is like it's like holding a Bible in your hand, and it's what the doctors swear with. But I'm going to take 1 minute to read for you a Hippocratic Oath, and then maybe it will explain to us why Dr. Mirembe is putting his foot in the soil, which already Isaac has testified to. But as for me, like I also said, the Ugandan Medical Council should be presenting Dr. Mirembe. We're also aware that the workers' MPs are all NRM. That is something we need to liberate, because as we begin to speak, then you want the workers' MP to come from the lawyers, you want the workers' MP to come from the medics, you want the workers' MP to come from the teachers. And then those 5 places or 10 places must be representing the workers' union. Here is the oath, the modern version, and I quote, "I swear to fulfill to the best of my ability and judgment this covenant." The covenant, of course, is the law. "I will respect the hard-woven scientific gains of those physicians in whose steps I walk, and gladly share such knowledge as is mine with those who are to follow. I will apply for the benefit of the sick all measures that are required, avoiding those twin traps of overtreatment and therapeutic nihilism." Nihilism is killing. "I will remember that there is art to medicine as well as science, and that warmth, sympathy, and understanding may outweigh the surgeon's knife or the chemist's drug. I will not be ashamed to say I don't know. Nor will I fail to call in my colleagues when the skills of another are needed for a patient's recovery. I will respect the privacy of my patients, for their problems are not disclosed to me so that the world may know. Most especially must I tread with care in matters of life and death. If it is given to me to save life, all thanks. But it may also be within my power to take a life. This awesome responsibility must be faced with great humility and awareness of my frailty. Above all, I must not play to God. I will remember that I do not treat a fever chart, a cancerous growth, but a sick human being whose illness may affect a person's family and economic stability. My responsibility includes these related problems, as if I'm to care adequately for the sick. I will prevent disease whenever I can, for prevention is preferable to cure. I will remember that I remain a member of society. That's the thing I wanted to bring out. I will remember that I remain a member of society with special obligations to all my fellow human beings, those sound of mind and body as well as the infirm. If I do not violate this oath, may I enjoy life and art, respected while I live, and be remembered with affection thereafter. May I always act so as to preserve the finest traditions of my calling, and may I long experience the joy of healing those who seek my help. The point of emphasis was, I will remember that I remain a member of society with special obligations. Dr. Mirembe, what are special obligations that you have to Uganda? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, comrade. The organizers of this space, the concerned citizens who are on the space. I've seen President of the Ugandan Law Society, Mr. Kimaze Isaac Semakade, and many of the very enthusiastic comrades who are alive, alert, and making an effort, pushing your feet, hands, making an effort to see that our society, our community is better, especially on the angle of governance, because governance or leadership controls, it's the pivot of everything else, everywhere. Let it be a family, let it be simply a community circle, let it be a hospital, a school, a law firm, anything. Governance leadership means it will raise up or it will fall. Comrades, my name is Dr. Mirembe Joel. Yeah, I'm the Secretary General of the Uganda Medical Association. I've also had an opportunity to serve on the National Executive Committee of NUP from its inception. But today, the phrase is from scrubs to the ballot. Definitely, the ballot here represents national politics. We have been on the ballot. Personally, I've been on the ballot several times. Even my current office I hold as the Secretary General was out of the ballot. But the question was, what special obligations do we have as doctors? Do I have to society? The oath is our oath is very interesting. It outlines and paints a picture of who we're supposed to be. But also it doesn't forget to paint a picture of how we are supposed to be treated by society, by those we serve, by those who train us. So, my other obligation or special obligation is not to forget that, yes, I am blessed, or I have a chance to have skills to relieve suffering, to stop suffering, to heal those who are crying. But also I'm responsible that when the community is in bad shape, I am equally responsible like the other citizens. When a country is being captured into a form of not acted on, for example, dictatorship, and constitutionalism, corruption that is everywhere, deliberate disregard for improving and providing quality, accessible public goods. Public goods, I'm talking about schools, I'm talking about health care systems and the services that they give us. I'm talking about the judicial and among other things.